Welcome viewers to another video. And the topic of this video is a little lighthearted because I feel like I've been a little too serious lately with my other videos. And a lot of stuff is happening, not just with my friend's job, but even his current job or even my job. And I really want to see how things goes because it's a lot different from like my friend's experience. And I just really want to see how things unfold so I can say it right here. Anyway, the topic of this video is how I am a comedy genius, particularly in the classroom. If you guys didn't know, I'm a teacher. Besides being a bodybuilder, I'm a teacher full time. I teach high school music. And when you're a teacher, when you go in front of the classroom, you have all eyes on you. And it's hard to get the students engaged. So sometimes I might sprinkle a little bit of comedy in there, a little bit of jokes. And I personally think the best type of comedy is comedy you have to work for, or comedy that not everyone gets because you have to go through a whole bunch of maneuvers to get the joke. But if you get it and you see a student that got it, you'll be like, yeah, you got the joke. Let me give you an example. So there was one student. I think she asked me if she wanted to use my charger, and she was telling me a story how she broke her charger. No, she broke her phone because she was playing Roblox and her phone overheated. So she put her phone in the freezer and then the phone didn't work anymore. And then I responded with, that was your first mistake. You were playing Roblox. So you see how I made it think that the mistake was putting it in the fridge, but it was actually the mistake was playing the game Roblox, because kids play that game all the time. And I don't really like to play cringy games. And if you see those memes of Roblox, super cringe. So I said, the joke was that playing the game Roblox was a mistake. And that's the kind of humor I like to make because it gets you thinking. Because you're dissing the game and you're making a joke at the same time. So that's smart humor. Another thing I like, another type of joke I like is kind of when students look the same. When you're a teacher, you come across lots of students who look the same, and when that student knows they look the same, you can really play on that. I had one student, and the student's name, both of the students' name that look the same, had one letter, and they rhymed exactly the same, just had one letter that changed the first letter. And at first, when I first saw that student, I thought he was on one of my other periods. I was like, aren't you in my first period or something? And it was like, no, that's probably someone else. And I was like, oh, you guys are two different people. And I'm telling you, if you saw these people from the back, they would have been the same, and you just turn around and you see his face and it's a different guy. And the guy who I thought the guy was in my period, he does cross country. And the other guy, I think he hates when people call him the other student, doesn't do cross country. He's a football player. And there was one time in class, he walks in, and then I tell him, so how's your cross country meet? I already knew at this point that he was not that student. But in his head, he knows he doesn't do cross country. But if he figures out that other student does cross country, it's I'm saying that's you, right? That's you who does cross country. So I'm making a connection how they're the same. It's very hard to understand, but when you're in there in person, you can really see. I would say that to that student, and then he'll just not respond, and it would just because he knows that what I'm trying to do. And it's when as a teacher you're playing dumb, but what the deal is, and that's it's a funny moment when that happens. Can you also remember this other joke about two students who look the same? So there's two students who look the same, right? And every time where one of those two students are absent, let's say, I'm trying to think of something. One is Tom and one is Tim, okay? Let's say Tim is absent, okay? And when I'm taking roll and I say, is Tim here? And then I look at Tom because Tom looks like Tim. And the funny thing about about Tim, no, about Tom is the one that's here. Tim is the one that's absent. So I say Tim, I ask for Tim when he's absent, but I look at Tom because I'm saying that you guys look alike. And now what Tom started to do is every time I do that, I call Tim and then stare at Tom. Tom will look around like he's looking for Tim. And that's funny because we're going a little back and forth with the comedy routine. And he knows that I'm doing it on purpose, so he's trying to be funny with it too. But one time I caught Tom when Tim was absent, okay? And then I gave an assignment to Tom. Tom turns in the assignment, but he forgets to put his name. And then I tell him, oh, what's your name again? And then it's Tim, right? And I was about to pretend to write Tim on the paper. And then he just walks out the room because he was about to leave because of the bell, right? But, I got him because, that was quick thinking on my part. Because I usually got into the routine by just doing it when I take attendance. But doing it any chance I got, especially with this situation, like I had to think fast for that one. Like he forgot to put his name. And I knew he looked like that one student, so I said that other student's name and tried to write it down. And that's the type of stuff you got to be good. You got to be quick with to be a comedy genius. Because comedy is all about timing. And if you miss a good joke, like you can't say it again. You got to be at the moment. I just wanted to say that part. Another type of joke I like to do. One type of type of joke I like to do is kind of try to build like a competition with the students, especially if you could do it educational wise. That's even more better because it pushes the students to like learn. So I had like one assignment on the board. Well, it was online where students had to like answer music notes or stuff like that, like on the keyboard, or like how to read music. And then I will show them how to do it, right? And then when I finish, I'll tell them, look, I did it in like a minute. So it'll probably take you guys 20 minutes, I assume. So that kind of shows like that I'm such at a higher level that it'll take them 20 times the amount to finish what I did in a minute. And then some students don't get it, but it was like a slight diss. And that's the kind of jokes you got to sprinkle. That's the comedy genius that you have to envelop. So there's lots of type of jokes a teacher could use. And those are the type of jokes I do. I think of another good one. Another good one. So it's like when a teacher knows the answer to something, or when you know the answer to something, but you're trying to get your like audience to say the question. Say what you're thinking. It's kind of like that Family Feud thing that Steve Harvey always does, where he wants to get the dirty answer, so he asks us the question, but he doesn't want to say it, and then he acts all surprised when the actual contestant says it. He's like, makes all that faces and stuff like that. Like, what do you expect to happen? Like, example, he'll be like, name something you do with your wife. And then when the contestant say something like dirty or something, he'll be all surprised, like, come on, you knew what you were doing. And that's why it's funny. That's what's funny. It's funny when you can get the student to say that, and then you take no blame. Like, why are you even talking about that? Or like stuff like that. And there was one time when, how it's Black History Month, right? And I usually call my students up to do, like playing tests, so I could hear him play like the piano or guitars or anything like that. And there was this particular time, there was a student who was like Latino, and he comes up, and then while he does his test, he does good, he passes, and I'm looking at his grade, I'm putting his grades in, and then I see he forgot to do an assignment, and I tell him, so you forgot to do an assignment, it was due like 2 days ago. And then I was like, why didn't you do it? Were you celebrating Black History Month? Because if you're celebrating Black History Month, I can excuse it. Just tell me what you did to celebrate Black History Month. And then I said that question because I kind of wanted to see what that student did, because he was Latino. If he said something like, oh, I went to go eat like fried chicken, and I went to go to cookout or something like that, then I was like, oh, he tried to be funny, But I knew, like, I was kind of setting him up. But this student, like, because I'm kind of half Black, I feel like he tried to be respectful, and he did not like fall into that trap, and I give him props for that. But you see, those are the type of jokes that I kind of lean out, like try to lay out for the students so they could tell me the answer that I know. And I know students be saying the same thing when I come for the plain test. They know they do good, and they tell me, so what grade did I get? And when they tell me that, I'll be fiddling on the computer. I'll be like, let me check. You got an F. And then I just see their face like happy, and they just droop down like I was surprised. And they're like, how did I get an F? And then I was like, I always make up some stuff like, oh, you didn't use the right technique and stuff like that, even though they played good. And I was like, nah, I was just joking. You got an A. And then they'd be like, oh, you better. But it's always funny to like change the expectations like that, because I feel like students, when they do good, that's what they start telling you. So what grade did I get? And things like that. And yeah, that's why I'm pretty much a comedy genius. I know other teachers do it too, because there was one teacher, he said a joke. The principal was talking about how do we get students to stay in school, because usually the students are absent Mondays and Fridays, and the principal was saying, oh, we could do like pizza days on Fridays so they could come. They're going to get the pizza on Fridays. And then another teacher said, oh, we can have tests on Fridays and Mondays. And the thing is, like, typically, if the school is run well, students would have to stay, would want to come to school to do the test so the grades won't drop. But most likely, those students would just not want to come to school because of the tests. And that was kind of the joke. Like, there's other issues we really have to like look into, because these students don't want to like do the test and stuff like that. And then when the principal heard that, she kind of just like stopped, and he was like, thank you. Oh, my video cut out, but let me continue where I left off. So those are pretty much the jokes that I kind of like to do, like some kind of like light-hearted jokes, smart jokes, students to figure out. And just like surprising the students, you know, having the students expect one thing and just surprising them. Like they'll be thinking they're done with the class, and then they ask me like, oh, what do we have to do next? And then when they ask me that question, they want me to say, oh, you're done, you know, you just chill or whatever. But what I kind of flip it is like, okay, you guys have like a 5-page paragraph, a 5-page essay. Make sure you put a bibliography, cite your sources and stuff like that, just to make it like, oh no, you're not done. But you knew you were done, so why are you over here asking me this question? You want me to give you more work? Is that it? And so that's why I kind of just do that, because that's what you wanted to hear, huh? Is that what you wanted to hear? But like, yeah, those are the type of jokes. So if you think I should do stand-up comedy, please let me know. Tell me if you like any of the jokes. Tell me if there's new material I should add up in my classroom. But yes, I'm a comedy genius in training, and that's kind of the environment I like to build in my classroom. We'll see you in the next one.